Greetings and salutations, everybody. It's I, your humble correspondent in everything life insurance and insurance sales. It's David Duford here. Thank you so much for being on another monthly Q&A Ask Me Anything conference call. So glad to have you here and taking time out of your busy day to get the burning questions you have about selling and marketing insurance answered in a timely, no BS fashion that you've all become accustomed of expecting from yours truly. So I'm glad to have you here. I hope you have had a fantastic July. You guys taking vacations, getting out of the house, enjoying yourself a little. I hope so. Either way, I'm sure you are here because you are considering a career or already in a career of selling some kind of insurance product. And, you might have some questions about the business. Maybe you're catching that whiff of fresh Kool-Aid being served to you by the gallons, and you want some answers about how this business really is like. Or maybe you have questions about how insurance leads work, or commissions, or anything like that. The purpose of today's program is to help you get those answers that many times you just won't get from the people that claim to be on your side, helping you, or so much so, in the business of insurance sales. So this, like I said, is an open mic type of training. Thank you and hello to Christine, Catherine, Thor, Trisha, Lavina. He's risen. Hey, what's going on, y'all? If you have questions today, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and load up the chat with the questions that you got. What I tend to do on these type of calls is just go right down the list of the questions you have. I tend to get to everybody. Sometimes it may take me some time to get through all the questions, so just be patient with me. I tend to be thorough with my questions. So throw them in the chat as we get started here. And as we kind of walk through, I will be happy to address and assist with anything that you need assistance with, at least with selling and marketing insurance. So to kind of get you guys going here, I've had some interesting things happen this month. As some of you guys know, I like doing jiu-jitsu, and I train a couple times a week. It's kind of a way to stay in shape to some extent and to use your brain at the same time. I highly recommend it to anybody who is, wanting to do something physical. Plus, it has the added advantage of being practical in the real world, running some appointment, selling final expense, and you know how to do the Monte Leone, everything's taken care of. So, had the pleasure, I'm going to share this on the screen here with y'all, of training with somebody who, I hope I can show it. Can I show it? I don't think I can. Crap. Well, that sucks. I had the pleasure of training, I have a picture here, training with Hoist Gracie. You guys know who Hoist Gracie is? If you're old like me and remember the first UFC, Hoist was the first winner of that event. I think that he fought, was it Ken Shamrock, I believe? My favorite, of course, Hoist Gracie fights were Gracie Killer, Sakuraba. I always liked him, and some of his other fights too. So it was real cool training with him. He looks good, in shape, practical self-defense stuff that he's teaching, and we had a really good time. Very good experience. So wonderful. Other than that, it's been kind of a slow summer for us. We typically go on vacation to Canada. Canada's been closed to Americans, much less the rest of the world, because of COVID. And unfortunately may have to wait till next year to go on the vacay. So let's talk, not about me anymore, but about you, the questions that you have about selling insurance. I'm going to start right from the top. Mr. Victor Vasquez, how you doing? Thanks for being here. Is it easy as a solo insurance agent? Give me your honest opinion. No, it's definitely not easy. This business is hard. Don't let anybody tell you it's easy. And the idea that everybody can do it is a lie. If that was the case, I wouldn't have a YouTube channel talking about how 90% plus of insurance agents fail out of the business. The real truth is that any entrepreneurship or business ownership is very difficult. The pros make it look deceptively easy, but it's really deceptively difficult. And the question becomes, well, how do you become not a statistic? How do you avoid the failure that's so common amongst the vast majority of aspiring insurance agents? And take it from me, I failed out of insurance sales. about a year in, so I know exactly firsthand the pain and suffering that comes with failure. And what I've learned from my personal experience, plus, I recruit and train insurance agents, of course, in my agency nationally. If you want to learn more, davidduford.com/FAQ. What I've learned from firsthand experience, personally and with other agents, is the big thing is staying focused. You got to find a product that you believe in, that there's a market for, and that you can execute some sort of scalable, duplicatable lead generation system with. That's why I'm all in on final expense life insurance. Final expense is a huge market. There's lots of prospects, lots of ways to get leads, and it's not too terribly complex of a product. It's pretty simple to learn, and it really comes down to you going out there and working hard, in my opinion. So I think you got to have focus. You got to have a marketing strategy, and you really have to have the type of self-discipline and pig-headed discipline and determination that all successful entrepreneurs have. You're going to struggle. Your family's going to think you're crazy. You mean you don't want to get a job with benefits? Not in insurance sales, I can tell you that much. And everybody's going to doubt you. So get used to the negativity. Get used to standing on your own. But in a sense, that's what leadership's all about, right? I know that in the beginning, for me personally, I remember my neighbor revolting in terror when I told her I sold burial insurance. And I've had so many people tell me, so what's your real job? Or is that a part-time thing? And the implication is nobody sells that for real, like as their profession. And now I have proved them wrong, in a sense. Not that I get any sort of glory out of that. But you have to have this sort of just persistence about you in order to make anything in life something better than extraordinary. So, of course, you got to have enough lead investment money. Anybody that's telling you just need a couple $100 and, that's the sky's the limit is likely not telling the full truth. I require agents to invest a good amount of money in order to give themselves the best shot. Cash flow is king to any business, as any business owner will tell you. And really just, it comes down to you too. The X factor, of course, is the agent, hard work, seeing the people, running the appointments, getting out there, helping people, and then duplicating this process over many years is really how you get success. So I know not quite your original answer, Victor, but hopefully give you a little perspective. Thor, how do you overcome the objection of someone who says they're overly insured? Perfect. Why don't I swing by for 5 minutes to show you how my program works? What you decide to do with it's up to you. I'll be there at 10 o'clock, or does 2 work better? That's what I use if I'm over the phone. And I'm going to explain to you why here in a second. If I'm at the door, I say, perfect. I just need 5 minutes to deliver the information you requested. Why don't we sit out on the porch, or can I come in? That's the other rebuttal. Now, if I'm in the home and I hear this, it's going to depend on the circumstances. But let me back up and explain psychologically why I get excited when I hear something about somebody having a lot of insurance. First of all, what do we describe somebody who owns a lot of insurance? Take a guess here. They're what we call believers. You know how many people talk the talk but don't walk the talk? They tell you, oh, life insurance, it's important. You got to have life insurance, blah, 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 blah. But God forbid they cough up a couple of bucks a day to actually own a policy. So the fact that you're talking to somebody that's putting up money every single month for a policy means they're believers. You don't have to convince them owning insurance is important. They already believe it. The question becomes, how can you improve, if you can at all, what they currently have? So the sale is not made on, here's more insurance, but here's why my insurance is better. This represents for the independent agent, in some cases, a quarter of your total production to a half of your production. In other words, replacing inferior policies or otherwise upgrading your coverage for your clients to get better quality coverage. And the good news is that this business is full of inferior products out there. And if you're an independent agent like what we teach, you're going to have a great opportunity to help better the insurance situation that many of our prospects are in. And they'll love you for it because if you're in final expense at least, they're all on a fixed income. They've got a limited budget. And now you're able to help them in a way that, frankly, the other agent didn't. And they're really going to stand by you and buy from you and make this business really profitable. Now, if I'm in the home and I hear, well, I'm overinsured, or there's another term I've heard, I forget what it is. It's insurance poor, I think is what they say, or insurance rich, one or the other. I want to do an assessment. Hey, no problem. I treat it like a knee-jerk objection. I'm not stopping the presentation. I acknowledge it and say, no problem. Continue on my presentation, and then when appropriate, I ask about go grab your policies, let's take a look at them. Maybe there's an opportunity to improve something. For example, maybe they've got a 2-year wait product that they just took out 6 months ago, but they can qualify for first day full coverage. Had they known, obviously in the beginning they could get better, they would have said something different, but a lot of the times, you as the agent have to uncover the opportunity. There's a lot of talk about creating the need. I think a better terminology is uncovering the need they didn't know they had. Uncovering the fact that their coverage cancels because it's term insurance, or uncovering the fact that it's a 2-year waiting period policy and they didn't know about it. They knew they had the need underlying it, which is I want and need quality coverage, but it took you to show them that the current situation they assumed was fine actually wasn't. So that's what you do in the home when you hear that kind of I'm overinsured. Don't stop the appointment, keep going, and get excited because they own insurance, they believe it, and that's, if you're talking about life insurance with seniors, that's a godsend because half the time you're dealing with people, you got to talk them into taking care of their loved ones. It can be a little draining. Hey, Miss Osi, nice to be here. Trisha, I've been thinking about trying some form of martial arts and didn't know what to try. Trisha, do jujitsu, especially self-defense. 100% the one to do. All this other dojo stuff, it's fake. Don't do it. Let's see what else. Here comes the questions. Way behind already. You offer compelling information, but are you in the insurance business, selling books and other programs? I'm in the all of the above business. This has kind of been a challenge of mine, ex-writer. I have a lot of different streams of income, a lot of different hands in the pot when it comes to selling to the insurance sales business. For example, my main source of revenue, my main driver to my business growth is recruiting and training agents. That's why I try in every video to just remind everybody of that, lest they be confused and they see this other stuff. And same thing for my website, helping agents become top producers. Now, I also sell books, I sell courses, I sell memberships, probably some other stuff I'm forgetting. But I have a diversity of obviously we do YouTube ads as well. I'm a big believer in multiple streams of income to differentiate and just have different ways to make money and earn money. But I do understand it sometimes causes confusion. I haven't quite figured out how to solve that. But my main course of business, the most profitable, lucrative one, and the one that I enjoy the most is recruiting agents like you, new, aspiring, experienced that want to have somebody to train them, coach them, mentor them, duplicate a sales and marketing system, want to specialize in final expense, Medicare, annuities. So that's what it is that I want to do. And if you don't want to join my agency, then buy some of my other stuff. It's fine with me. Hoist is a legend. Sure is. Hey, Carlos, thanks for being here. Dave, is Donna? It's Donna. Hey, Donna. Remind me what beginning commission looks like. Okay, if you work with me, 100 to 110% starting commission with most carriers, guaranteed issue 60 to 70%. I don't want to turn this too much into a pitch to my gracious audience that's here for information and not a sales pitch. If you want to learn more about that, guys, davidduford.com/FAQ. All of that's covered there in detail. Corey, 1 to 2 questionnaire final expense carriers and only one GI carrier, who would you choose? So when you say 1 to 2 questionnaire, like 1 or 2 questions, that doesn't exist in final expense, at least for first day full coverage level products. But I can tell you, if I was to pick one guaranteed issue product, I'd probably pick Great Western. That's good for telesales or face-to-face. You're free of chargebacks due to death after 12 months. I also like, as far as the other 2 products, and it's a toss-up because there's so many good ones. I'd probably pick Prosperity Life, and then maybe Aetna Sendo is the other one. That's what I would do. Hey, Nancy. Chris, what are the best e-app platforms, carriers for telesales? So let me break that down a little bit. I'm glad you brought that up, Chris. I have a distinct problem with some carriers with telesales because not all carriers for the act of telesales, if we're looking at final expense here, I don't know if you're talking about some other carrier, help me clarify and I'll answer it later. But for final expense, which I assume you're asking about, there are a lot of e-app processes that are telesales functional, but they're not telesales friendly. For example, there are carriers that require an electronic signature to be emailed to Mrs. Jones' email. And I want you to picture Mildred. She's like my archetypal final expense prospect. You know, she's 70, she's in her, moo-moo, watching Jerry Springer. She's on a phone, she's got a smartphone, finally, and she's only on Facebook because her granddaughter helped her download the app to her phone, and between wasting time on Facebook, she's playing Candy Crush, okay? That's the extent of the internet capability of functionality our prospects have. And so what happens is if you use carriers that require an electronic signature, the problem is they'll say, yeah, I know how to use a smartphone. What do you think, I'm an idiot? And then you have them go through the process, and you send them an email, and you click this button here and this button here, and you start to become bald like me by pulling all your hair out. And I know some of you listening are like, amen choir in the background. You don't want to work with signature processes that are email-based. What you want to do for telesales and final expense is use a verbal application process. You want to do the signature process by talking on the phone, meaning the client talks on the phone to verbally sign instead of having an email signature requirement. There's lots of carriers that do that. Prosperity Life is one that's good. GTL has a very simple one, same with Great Western. Aetna Sendo is actually very nice. They don't even require a phone interview. The client just gives like a secret code or a passcode or favorite color, and that's a stand-in for a signature to sign the app and then also to set up the bank draft. Don't ask me how that's legal. It sounds pretty crazy to me, but it's been going on for years now, so I guess they got it down. But that's what you want to focus on. Stay away from any carrier that requires an e-signature and final expense, because you'll lose half your business. I'm telling you. You'll talk to people, you think they're competent with the computer, and just because they sent something in on a Facebook lead doesn't mean they know how to actually use email. So better safe than sorry, because there's nothing more painful than having like $1,000 in cash sitting in your hands to watch it slip away because the client got frustrated and couldn't complete the app. Doug, is it true that 3% of insurance agents earn 90%? Is it true that 3% of insurance agents earn 97% of the insurance commissions? Probably not. So I think in a broader sense, Doug, the Pareto principle is true. Any sales or performance orientation, business, sports, the top 20% garner 80% of the profits. That is 100% true. Now, it might be 70-30, it might be 90-10. I don't know what the exact number is, but if you look at production reports, you see like 10 to 20% of the top pulling in the vast majority of the production. And then it's the top 20% of that 20%. So the top 5% that earn 80, 70, 60% of that 20%. So it's really the very top echelon earns outstanding amounts more than the others do. But that is true, and it's a weird rule, but it applies to so much in different, especially performance business models with commission, straight commission, sports, etc. So what's the takeaway of that? How do you get to the top 20%? How do you get to the top 10%? And that comes back down to the fundamentals. You got to know how to present. You got to know how to connect to people. And you've got to work your butt off. You got to see the people. You got to have a marketing system to get out there in front of prospects consistently, day in, day out. And you have to execute. Okay, it really comes down to success is boring. It really is. Like, I can tell you, just run 15 to 20 appointments a week, face-to-face or over the phone, get a good script going, make sure you're following it, getting feedback. And if you execute on that process consistently, you're going to make sales, and you're going to improve if you apply feedback techniques and analysis to what you're doing and reviewing your calls. And if you can do that consistently, it's likely you're going to be successful. But that's really where the difficulty is consistent execution. That's where a lot of good agents go wrong, is they get away from the fundamentals. They have the talent and capability to be successful, but they get bored, and they let their kind of inner desire for creativity, which I'm 100% guilty of, that's why I failed in part the first time around, get in the way of execution and success. A lot of people who are successful do boring things, and it's just repetition over and over again. They just get really good at it. Kyle, is the final expense Medicare Advantage something you can do part-time? 100%. You can absolutely do part-time. This is one of the best, what's the word they used for it, side gig opportunities you can do. I started part-time in final expense. I have agents that start part-time. I have a guy earning $15,000, $20,000 in net income a month now who started part-time, went full-time after 3 months or so. It's absolutely something you can do part-time. If so, is face-to-face telesales better or worse? I think it doesn't matter to me. I think it just comes down to, do you have a particular affinity towards telesales or an affinity towards face-to-face? Your job should be to follow your instinct on where your strengths lie after you do your due diligence and research the differences. Some people are born for telesales, others are not. They would do much better with face-to-face. And it's critical that you take this time to decide, because the thing with telesales, it's very tempting. I mean, imagine you sitting at home in your underwear, making phone calls, your kids are around, your wife's in the other room, your spouse is in the other room. And when you end the day, you just walk out in your home. You're not beating down doors, driving an hour and a half and all this stuff. And it can be tempting, but it's not for everybody. Telesales takes a different type of skill set, in a sense, than face-to-face. And you got to make sure that you can develop that really well, because for some people that do well even face-to-face, they never can quite get it with selling over the phone. What lead generation tool do you recommend? It depends on the products you're selling. I can only speak competently when it comes to final expense Medicare and annuities. Really, for final expense, direct mail face-to-face is king. Still is after all these years of digital leads. I do like digital leads face-to-face, but only if you generate them yourself. I did a video, if you want to check it out, why I'm done with Facebook leads for final expense. Explains kind of the problem with a lot of these leads these days. But self-generating them, totally different. Lower costs, you can control the ad copy so that your vendor's not putting some crap in the copy that's totally disingenuous and not true. You can't control that if you're buying the leads. For over the phone, we've seen fantastic success from Facebook leads. And then also we have a great vendor that does a Google search ad that, somebody goes to Google, searches, I need a life insurance policy for a 67-year-old female, and then our ad pops up and they click on it and then click from there. That's pretty much it. We're in the works, hopefully, to come up with a new live transfer /TV lead. Those can work really well if you've got a good setup too as well. The key is to pick one of those and scale it to the highest level you can. And as you get better, scale it even more. That's what's cool about at least final expense. It's a scalable business model. With Medicare, it's direct mail all day long. We've got a great direct mail piece. It targets more of a special election period strategy where people are looking for a better product than they currently have. And I've got an agent writing 15 Medicare Advantage plans a week. And he was doing final expense last year. He's on course to 600-700 policies this year. I have several agents writing 400, 500, 600 Medicare plans that were in final expense that moved over. One of the reasons they moved to Medicare is because they established themselves in final expense, had good cash flow, but understood Medicare kind of unlocks the passive income opportunity more so than final expense. Final expense pays a residual, but it's not great unless you're building a large agency. But with Medicare, it's great for the producer that doesn't want to go into the adult babysitting business, meaning recruiting agents. I love recruiting agents, by the way, but not everybody does. But yeah, Medicare is great for that. It builds passive income that's payable for life each year as long as the client's on the books. And it really changes the game of this business. It becomes less of a, like Chris Westphal used to say, hamster wheel ride, when you can make money because of work you did years ago and disconnect your activity from work. It's a beautiful thing that you have access to as an agent and is absolutely, in my opinion, worth working for. Onwards. Is life insurance and final expense the same thing? Yeah. Think of final expense like the marketing term. Life insurance is life insurance. Final expense is a marketing or descriptive term that tells the user what they're going to do with it, bury you. Like mortgage protection, it's life insurance, but it protects the mortgage by paying it off or handling the premium payments so the beneficiaries don't have to get evicted or foreclosed on. I tried selling life insurance and mortgage protection insurance with another company, but was thrown to the wolves not knowing what I was doing. How's your training different? I wish I could show my desktop here, but if I do, because I haven't set it up right, I could show you my training protocol, but essentially what I've always differentiated myself on, Christine, is training, support, and mentorship. The big problem, like I spoke about earlier in this business, is there's a huge lack of it. Watch these videos, read the script, but don't even bother calling me or, getting onto some sort of training where you can interact and get feedback. That's kind of the status quo with the industry. The way that I do it differently is we do live training multiple times a week for hours on end. Sometimes we focus on reviewing agents' calls, critiquing them, real-life versions, recordings of their calls, and helping them understand what they're doing and how they could be better. We do open mic Q&As where you can come in and ask me questions live, and I do all the training, by the way. And we do carrier training so you can better understand your carriers, what's good about them, how to improve, and make sure you're giving your clients the best options for price and coverage. And I'm available by a cell phone. You can call or text me, my agents at least. And then if you need to, you can always set a one-on-one call with me, strategize, go into a deeper conversation. And again, here's the thing I would tell you. Again, I'm trying not to pitch too much, guys, but Christine asked, so don't kill the messenger here. Research David Duford scams or David Duford reviews. You're not going to see any bad news. And I've been doing this since 2014. And I would think in today's world, if somebody screws somebody online, like it's very easy to put a YouTube video up or a review out and it gets ranked high, and I have to stand for that. But I've been very sensitive to my reputation online because it's the only reason I'm here. And the fact that I don't have any bad, like reviews or anything like that since 2014 when I started means like hopefully what I'm saying here you can kind of trust a little bit more to be true. All right. Joseph, hey, what's up? I gain a ton from your videos. Thank you. Can you talk about lead plan, direct mail versus internet leads, as well as what numbers and stats might look like on dials and appointments? I'm going to go off of a little bit of so we differentiate between face-to-face and over the phone, okay? I'm assuming you mean face-to-face. If I do direct mail leads face-to-face, I want to sit with half of the leads I get via calling on the phone or door knocking those leads. And out of those half I sit with, I want to close half. So if I buy 50 direct mail leads a week, I want to do 25 appointments and close 12 deals, okay? My goal is a 25% application to lead conversion ratio. And if you do the math and you look at case sizes, et cetera, that's pretty good versus what the investment was. But even if it's a little lower than that, like say 10 out of 50 or 20% conversion rate, that's still excellent, and it's likely going to put you at a 3 to 4 to 1 return on investment. That's what I'm looking at there, okay? And by the way, my goal is to have a 4 to 1 return on investment for my agents personally for any of their lead campaigns. That's a very lucrative money in, money out type of setup. If I put 50 grand into a lead system one year and I get back 200,000 and I net an income of 150, well, that's really good. And that's very possible with a direct mail lead setup for final expense. Now, for digital leads, when I was running digital leads, you don't book as many appointments hitting digital. And you're probably looking at, it's going to vary, but I would probably have to buy 100 digital leads to book 30 appointments, 25 to 30 appointments, and my close ratio is probably going to stay about the same. The problem I have with digital leads is, especially if you're scaling up to 30 plus appointments, and look, you got to be a little crazy, all right, in order to do that much consistently. But what the problem you'll run into working digital leads is the leads are scattered out over the place. You can't isolate down to zip codes or counties. You got to take a radius with most of these vendors. And the guys and gals running a bunch of appointments scaled up like this, and there's quite a few that do this, they're on the road putting 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 miles a week on their cars. They can't run more than 10 appointments a day in many cases, because, especially if they're rural, maybe if they're more metro, because it's just so much mileage to get out there. They're good leads. They're usually good at closing, but it's just there's a lot of drive time, more so than direct mail. Part of the reason I like direct mail is you can be 5-10 minutes between appointments, and you can scale bigger each day you're in the field. You might be able to get 15 appointments instead of 10. That starts to add up when you start looking at multiple days in the field running that much. So as you can tell, I'm more of a fan of direct mail, although digital leads work, but you got to buy a large volume of them. You can't buy the equivalent you would with direct mail, okay? You're buying a cheaper lead, you're going to get cheaper results. So you got to make up for it in volume. And then, sorry, Joseph. As well as what the numbers and stats might look on dials, appointments, yeah. So hopefully that kind of, I don't care about dials. I care about like a broader perspective, I want you to dial until from sunrise to sunset. However long it takes for you to book your appointments, that's what you should do. There's no magical number like 10 dials gives you one appointment. Now, you can track your own numbers and you can discover that, and that might be helpful for you. But I think on a bigger perspective, it's better if you actually just don't worry about how many dials you're doing and you just dial or you door knock until you hit the appointment goals that you're supposed to run. Okay? Again, just not everybody thinks that way. That's how I always did it when I was in the field. I didn't care. I'm using every second that the sun is up to find a deal to close. I don't care how many it takes because I know every approach is random, but I'm just going to make sure I'm filling my time with productive activity. That's ultimately the goal. All right. Ex-Rider, I've been a student of the Grant Cardone basically saying numbers do count. They do. And you want to qualify as fast as possible. Either move on or go for the close. Is that appropriate for final expense? I mean, this is a one-call close. The problem that you have with life insurance or final expense sales versus product sales is that you have a much longer chargeback window with final expense or even life insurance than most other product sales. You might be all hot and ready to close with minimal pre-qualification, etc. But the problem is you could do that in this business, but if you don't educate the client, if you don't listen to their needs, if you don't attach what they want to accomplish with what your product does, and if you don't thoughtfully think about which products you sell, meaning competitively priced and decent underwriting, and you close fast and you high-five your bros and everything's cool, the problem is my guys and gals are out there hunting that deal down. And maybe you sold them a good policy, but it's likely if you kind of prescribe to that mantra of just mass close without qualifying, et cetera, and that might be exactly what you're saying, ex-rider. The problem is you might not be selling the best product for your client. We teach our agents to go in and help that fixed income senior is probably making $1,000 a month or less and no savings to show them a better way with more coverage at a better price. And 9 out of 10 times, doesn't matter how awesome that agent was, he's going to get replaced because the senior wants a good deal. And if that agent didn't do it, we will. And we're at a point in our business, guys, that there's more agents out there offering insurance than ever. So it's more imperative now than it ever has been to make sure the deal you close, as much as you have the ability to, is make sure it's the best deal, it's competitively priced, the underwriting is great, provides first day full coverage if available, because if you cut corners, you might get a lapse in a couple of months, and you have to pay back the prorated commissions to the carrier. So that's why I'm a little hesitant with a hard-on close. I'm more consultative in how I teach insurance sales. I make sure to get rid of the competition and showing them the fine print of how the other guys work so they are more conceptually bought into what it is that we do. Because I want the policy that I sell to stay. In other words, the policy that pays is the policy that stays, ladies and gentlemen. Very important phrase. Don't forget that. That is what success looks like in insurance sales. Stephanie, hey, if one lead source is best for telesales, which would it be? If you put me up against the wall and put a gun to my head, Facebook, do it yourself though. And not because it's the best quality lead, but because you can scale it, you can get a lot of volume, and in that volume you can find deals, okay? I would say TV leads, but they're just very difficult to get. That's kind of the problem with them. Do you have an under 65 health marketing program? We recruit agents for ACA. I don't push it much because we don't have really a marketing protocol in place, but some people ask about it and it's there, but it's not, as you can tell, I'm not very hot on it either. I'm more into the senior market side of things. But ACA is there if you're running Medicare appointments and somebody isn't disabled or retired and are looking for some kind of, healthcare plan. Questionnaire coverage, final expense carriers is what I meant. I don't know what you mean, Carrie. Sorry. Hopefully I sort of kind of answered it. Francisco, David, I'm going to do my licensing test on September 2nd. Any tips? Study the practice test, get good at the practice questions, and then just take it. You just need a 70 to pass it, but study to the point that you feel comfortable enough. How about Everest? I don't know much about Everest. It's a big mountain. Hey, Miss O.C., I know you deal mainly in final expense. However, if I join your team, can I sell whole life? So you can sell whole life with us. We just don't teach agents to specialize in it. Not that it's bad or anything. We just don't know how to do it. I stick to what I know, and that's final expense, Medicare, and annuities. Hey, Jim, what's going on? I'm a huge proponent of mutual life insurance companies because you are a shareholder of the policy. Any companies that you like to or work with in this market? Jim, I think some of you out there might know a little more than I do. Again, I know my limitations. I'm a final expense guy. I think Mutual Trust, gosh, I hope that's the right company. That might be that old company down in Alabama. And then Lafayette Life. I think those are mutuals. Email me a reminder, Jim. I'll check for you. How much money, hey Sherry, thanks for being here, does a new agent need to invest in leads on a weekly or monthly basis? So it depends if it's part or full-time. If you're part-time, I would say 400 to 500 is a good starting place, and then full-time 500 to 750. And the reason there's a range is it just depends on the type of lead that you purchase. X Wright, are you a sole practitioner, or do you have a back office support team like Chris Westfall? I have an interesting business. I don't like employees. I never wanted to have employees. I always wanted to have a solopreneurship type of career. And up to recently, I've accomplished that. But business has been so good, and I've expanded so fast, and I have basically squeezed every amount of minute out of my day that I am starting to hire some people to offload some of the tasks that I can do that other people can. So, but here's the thing. It's not fair to say I don't have any support and I do it all, because I have a contracting team and my IMO partner that handles all of my contracting for me, and my Medicare Advantage and final expense. I have people behind the scene that put up a lot of my newsletter stuff, format my YouTube stuff. So I got a lot of stuff going on. But, yeah, I don't have like a bunch of people running around patting me on the back telling me I'm the greatest thing ever either. So it's a weird business model. A lot of virtual assistant type of help, VA help, relying on other people to do things, but not the traditional type of setup. Here's the thing, again, if you think that's a problem with mentorship, support, connection, I'm happy to give you references, and you can ask some of my agents that have worked with me and can attest to it. And that goes for anybody. Thor, can you be successful by only door knocking? Yes, I have an agent named Eric out of Virginia. He's in Central Virginia, works more of the rural sticks area. And I'm pretty sure he switched only to door knocking. And this is the same guy I was mentioning earlier. He's writing 20 to 25,000 in production a month. So Andrew Fike, who I trained with down in Atlanta, he would take 30 leads a week and just door knock them. And he's consistently written 200,000 in final expense a year since 2011. So the guy knows what he's doing. And yes, door knocking, to me, if you're face-to-face, you have to door knock as a new agent, especially if you work in direct mail. Appointment setting is optional. Door knocking, though, you're going to get the best conversion because it's easier to hang the phone up on somebody than it is to look them eye to eye and say, hey, I'm a nice guy, let me in. You'll get more follow-through with door knocking for sure. Israel, should an agent stay captive? Man, that's such a specific question to a specific agent. Captive is right for some people. They need that kind of structure to be successful. And I would liken to say most do need that kind of structure, especially a more employee-type minded person. But I think there's absolute advantages for being independent. You can get lead, all the things captives say they can do, you can do as an independent agent. Leads, training, support, mentorship. You're going to have probably a lot better commission level as an independent agent. You're going to have a lot more freedom, and man, you're going to have more carrier access, which means more business written. Any good agent that's really good captive tends to be even better independent. So if you're a great agent, captive, independent's just going to lock in so much more opportunity for you. Stacy, what is the best advice for someone still working full-time at a regular job, working towards self-employed full-time? So save all your money you make off of insurance sales, if that's the implication, starting part-time. Save up as much money as possible. And I mean, build your bankroll. Don't spend any extra money than you have to, okay? And then when you're ready and you're comfortable and you got a big wad of cash, fire your job and go full-time into the business. For me, the first time around, it took me 6 months. And then the second time around after I failed, it took me a year. I worked full-time at Aramark selling uniform services and sold part-time. And I did not want to go back working for somebody, for me. I hated working for people. So I took that year before I went solo. But that's going to vary again. Everybody's got different budgets, different needs, economics stuff, right? So I've known people who've dropped the job in 3 months, others longer. So it's going to be somewhere in there. Just make sure you're sitting on a lot of money. That's really the key. X-Rider, the problem with telesales is the refrigerator's too close. Yeah, hey, if you like hanging around the fridge, leave the house and sell face-to-face. Sarah, I logged in here 50 minutes before and then got distracted just doing, dang it, that's okay. This is recorded, so you can just, actually, if you go down to the bottom and then you can see the red dot and the whatever, on YouTube videos. You can drag that back if you want to start from the beginning. Or just wait till this is over, watch a recording of what you missed. Michael, what are your thoughts about Everest? I don't know. I think you mentioned that. I think it's an IMO. I don't know much about them. Melvina, how can a new agent learn about starting their own agency? Okay, so what do you mean by agency, starting your agency? So like selling insurance or like recruiting agents to join with you? If you're talking about building an agency of agents to sell for you, I don't recommend doing that until you have experience selling insurance. One of the biggest problems in this business is this belief that as soon as you have a pulse and as soon as you find another person who has a pulse that you should recruit. There's a big emphasis on the MLM structure of mass recruiting. And what I think it's led to is this mass failure. Easy come, easy go. Whereas what I believe and what I've taught my agencies that are in my agency that build, we have builders that do a great job. They didn't start doing it till they were pros at what they were doing, till they were experts. And the thing is you're not going to keep good talent when you don't know what you're doing either, or when you have minimal experience. And good talent's going to jump somewhere else where, they're working with people who they want to achieve a level of success that's better than theirs. So in other words, to me, the pathway to building a successful agency is by first building a successful practice yourself selling insurance. That's what I did. It took me 2 years of failure and success before I said, 2 to 3 years really, before I got serious about agency building. And I think taking that slower path is better long term. You're welcome, Christine. Been following you and doing due diligence before I jump back in. Very confident. Thank you. Next Gen Games of Telesales. How often would you contact your leads per day and how many days? Again, to me, this is as much as it takes to get them to pick up. Now, there's a point where you'll get new leads in and you're not going to call the old leads the 31st time because they haven't picked up the other 30 times. So I would put them to the bottom of the pile and focus on the new leads. There's not a number in mind. You just got to keep dialing until these people pick the phone up, Make sure you're triple dialing, though. That's where you dial the number, they don't answer. You dial the number again a short time after, like 10 seconds, and then you dial it a third time. That breaks the conditioning. It breaks the pattern, a pattern interrupt, to get your clients to answer the phone and pick up and like, who the hell is this? And you're like, that's your insurance man. And you do your script, of course, but you get them to listen to you, and you'll get people booked that never otherwise would have talked to you. Was Annie ever okay? I don't know who you're talking about, John. Blitz, how do you feel? Hold on. How do you feel with cold feet if, let's say you're at the door face to face or had the number and script right in front of you on telesales? How do you deal with cold feet? I don't understand the question, Blitz, if you want to clarify. I mean, it's a funny thing. You're never going to get rid of the fear. You just learn how to deal with it better, or you learn how to ignore it better. Every single agent that's successful has this. There's probably a few freaks of nature that don't. But I think it's better to think of the average. And the average successful agent has all the same hangups, but they don't let them dominate their mindset. It's there, but they don't let it take control. It's not an impediment. It's friction. It causes concern, but you do it anyway. Liken it to exercise. It's painful to exercise. It's painful to do all this stuff, but you go do it anyway, and you get the endorphin rush. You get stronger. You get more fit. And sure, you're going to have resistance to go doing it, but the more you do it, you kind of numb that effect. Okay, it's kind of the same thing with performance. Now I got about 10 more minutes here, then I got to go to no-gi jiu-jitsu tonight and get my ass kicked. Let's see what else here. Great advice. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Sorry, I think I skipped some stuff. How many states do I need to be licensed work with you? Just one. Just one. Telesales or face-to-face. Depends on the leads, but most times just one's enough. How do you currently, hey, Francois, hey, David, do you currently still sell or just training? I do not sell anymore. I haven't sold full-time in 3 years. Part-time, full-time, I've sold 4 years. And why did I do that? Well, it's because my agency took off. And I got to the point that a lot of us dream about, which is replicating our income from production from overrides. And plus, the thing is, at some point, you have to decide what you are going to be, the one thing, the one focus. You can't be a full-time agency and a full-time producer. You have to choose one or the other. And if you try to be both up to a certain point, you're going to start falling flat in one or the other. So at that point in my career, I went full-time agency owner, and glad I did. All right, you answered my question previously, just clarifying. Okay. Matt, I'm going to be getting my license soon and working for you. Thank you. What happens when the sale is made? What does bookkeeping look like? You make the sale, you submit the app, you shake hands, and you never talk to them again. You might talk to them 6-12 months later, check in on them. But really, everything's taken care of. I mean, the companies are going to pay you directly. They're going to process the payments for you. They're going to let you know if the payment's missed. At that point, you'd follow up with the client and say, hey, pay your premiums. But there's really not a lot of after-sale stuff, at least with final expense. Now, with Medicare, you got to tend to your flock. You don't want them wandering off and having some other agent, replace them. So you want to be more involved with Medicare, and then we teach all that, of course. All right. If starting contract is at an IMO is 40% before the first promotion, is that reasonable? Well, are you getting free leads, like fresh, exclusive leads? Probably not. And so I'd probably say it's a ripoff. There's not really any reason anymore to get paid that low. You're probably with an MLM, and their philosophy is mass recruiting. You sell a couple of policies, they get your friends and family to be sold by the upline you're with, and they take your money and rinse and repeat, and it's not very good. Okay, Milton, hopefully I answered that. Kyle, I have a full-time job that pays well. I want to start Medicare Advantage as a side business and build residual income to invest in other ventures. Is it possible to start? Yeah, you can absolutely start only Medicare. It's completely fine. And you might want to go with, davidduford.com/Medicare-Advantage. You can see some more information there about how our program works. Earl asked me, what do you think about Family First Life? I think they've done a wonderful job bringing a ton of people into this business. I mean, it's completely undeniable about how fast and how incredibly big they've gotten. I remember them back in 2015-16, just like another mortgage protection company. But they tapped into final expense, I'd like to say, as well as mortgage protection. They've done a great job. And the nice thing is it brings more people into this business. And in a sense, at least in my business model, people may not like being there and they find out about me and then come to me because they compare commissions or training or whatever. Sometimes not, and they're happy there, get it. But more people come into this business because of them, and I think it's good for everybody, really. One IMO is going to have me team up with an agent with 1 year experience. Good. I mean, that's good. That's better than the norm, which is I just got started a month ago. And I'm your manager. As far as recruiting, recruit a neophyte. Yeah, I like recruiting new agents. I like recruiting any agent that's coachable, that will follow a process. And, we get along. I used to recruit just new agents. I recruit experienced agents too, especially ones that aren't happy with their current IMO. They've seen commissions that they're getting paid. They're not happy. The trust has been lost, and they want to work with somebody that's going to pay them very well, and it's going to be trustworthy, and leave them be unless they need help, right? So that's kind of a good agent that's experienced that ends up working with me a lot of the times. Hi, perhaps you answered this already. Hey, Robin, on average, how much do you need to get started software? So money-wise, $1,500 to $3,000 or $500 part-time, $750 full-time roughly. Software, you don't need anything besides a laptop or a computer. And so part-time would be $500 range. CRM and dialer, there's too many good options. If you want a dialer CRM solution, Agent Autopilot, Set Show Sold. You can look at my YouTube channel. You'll see some videos I've done about them. Who else is good? If you just want to track information on clients, Zoho.com, OnePageCRM.com is good. VanillaSoft, if you want to custom design some call sequences. I have that in my call center and final expense. It's pretty good. There's some things that's lacking. Radius is also another one of my call center agency owners uses as well. They like them a lot. So it's just like you got to look at them all and pick. There's also Prospect Boss, Mojo Dialer. See, now I've given you too many options. This is hard to choose. Got into the business in October. Hey, Logan. This November, I go live as an agency owner. Inheriting a nice book of business, would you still recommend starting at zero and go independent? Man, that's tough, man. I mean, how much is that book of business throwing off cash for you? Is it just people to call and try to do service calls to and upgrade their policies? What kind of insurance is it? Is it Medicare, final expense? What was the relationship with the past agency owner? Did he keep in touch with them? There's a lot of uncertainty there, so it's hard to say. I think there's value in starting from zero, though. Because when you start from zero, you learn from the ground up. You don't skip the steps that, getting beat up and abused as a new agent and learning to survive and thrive. That's a valuable thing that obviously in the time of doing that sucks. You wish you didn't have to experience it, but I'm grateful I had my failure event early on. It taught me a lot about myself. It humbled me. I learned a lot of the mistakes and immaturity that I had, and it's paid dividends, I think, in the long term. So I think there's value in starting from zero. And you're not really starting from zero if you work with a good organization, because they'll show you the blueprint that's already been proven to work, right? But still, you're going to have to go through the pain of growth and experience of the business, right? And I think there's value in that. Recruit new, it's easy to train. An experienced agent, you have to first unlearn and retrain. So yeah, sometimes. All right, rounding down here, about 5 more minutes, guys. What do you know about the Kingdom Life Group in Thomasville, Georgia, where they're no-cost lead for Medicare Advantage? Nothing, Hosea. I know nothing about them. Actually, Kingdom Life has been around a long time. I just don't know much about them. Thomasville, Georgia. Thomasville, Georgia. That's where Senior Life Insurance Company is, too, right? South Georgia. Future of tech in the business. Good question. I think it's overrated right now. If you're in the senior market, I think you're safe from Amazon or AI coming in and unearthing you. There's a lot of these IPOs and new insurtech businesses. None of them are really profitable. They're not making a lot of money. The old-fashioned strategy just simply works well. And it especially works well to a group of clients that used to buy with a person in front of them, which is why I like senior marketing that much better, because you don't have to be sophisticated and have some elaborate sales process to worry about designing. Thank you, Abdullah. Yeah, appreciate it. God bless you too, man. Jim, can you put me on contract with a good mutual life company and sell me leads? I can put you with a company. I guess I get you leads, but I don't know if I get you the kind that would buy a mutual product. Email me. So there isn't an upsell to be in an inner circle. Not now. This is, I'm trying to be a pitch-free agency video here, Mr. Wall. But if you ask me about the inner circle, which allows agents, not my agents, to tap into my training, that starts off at a low cost of $10 a month before going to a monthly recurring bill of $97 a month, maybe I'll mention that. And I could also mention you could go to davidduford.com/store to find out more, and then watch the pitch video there. But I won't do that. We'll just focus on you guys, not me. What do you think about, how do I sign up with you? You see, LD, I can't help myself. davidduford.com/FAQ. Check that out. And then make sure you read all that, attend a live Q&A, and then you and I can have a conversation and start the onboarding process. davidduford.com FAQ. Yeah, /FAQ. Oh yeah, please like this video if you don't mind, so I can put this video in front of a bunch of people who don't understand how they're getting screwed in this business. Thank you. What do you think of WFG? Not good, mostly. I mean, I guess they're good. They help people, but comp is not good relative to others. When I say comp is not good, it's low. You can get better pay elsewhere, I think. In the home, the prospect told me he lost a job and has no money. How do I overcome this? You leave. Find a real prospect. How can you sell something to somebody who doesn't have any money? Even if you did, who's to say they're going to have a job? So, I don't know. Find a real prospect, more or less. Opinion on offshore telemarketing. Generally, no. There's all sorts of liability if they call the do not call list, and these claimants will come after you and sue you for telemarketing violations. I generally don't recommend it. I'm late. We'll have to watch again. Thanks, Keith. I love telesales and your videos. You really helped me tremendously. You're welcome, Joe. I work with farmers, all personal lines, business, life. Book generates under 100K each year before any new business. Okay. I think I'm still good enough to be independent, though. Yeah, okay. Do it. Yeah, it's tough. You're given this, significant income. But I think long-term independence pays a lot better. Can you explain the training process if you come part-time while working full-time? Yeah, you come to my training live when you can. You self-study when you can. You watch the recorded training when you can. And you just try to apply as much as you can. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks, I would say, for the normal agent to be sales ready. That's really, in a nutshell, the best thing you can do is come to a Q&A call, and I can go into more detail. And I'm kind of up against the wall in time, so I apologize. Thank you, David. You're welcome, Dan. Appreciate it. Just sell me the leads. I can work with the agent that sold me my North NML policies. Okay. I prefer working through you. Perfect. Check is in the mail, Jim. That's how we do it around here. You're welcome, Lavina. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, sorry I can't go longer, but time is up. I got to go train, get better. That's what we're all out here to do, right? So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I do these live. I'm doing it live, coming to you monthly at the end of the month, last Wednesday of the month. Hope you guys have a rest of a profitable July and a profitable August. And if I can help you in any way with selling insurance successfully, final expense Medicare and annuities, go to davidduford.com/FAQ to learn more. And you'll see exactly what you need to know to learn if my agency is a good fit for you. And until next time, y'all, have a good day. Bye-bye.